Mr. Trivedi, as we all know, is a rare politician who has walked the talk, unlike people who ought to be walking the talk. He sacrificed what one of his predecessors would have called a very malaidar ministry because of his conviction that something has to be done about the railways. The railways are at breaking point, as we know in Bombay. They are overcrowded. People are traveling in inhuman conditions. There are so many people who simply die. And the tragedy is that we have all become desensitized to the number of people who die on the rail tracks every day. And they're crossing them not because they want to, they want to attract danger, but because that's the easiest way to get across, and they're trying to save every minute and second that they can. I'm now requesting Debashish Basu to introduce Mr. Trivedi, but before...
Hello and welcome to another program of Moneylife Foundation. This time it's the former Union Railway Minister, Mr. Dinesh Trivedi. When he was 10, he wanted to join the Indian Air Force, and eventually he trained as a pilot. He graduated from St. Xavier's College, took a loan of 20,000 rupees to study in America, from which he paid 4,300 for a ticket. It taught him the value of money and what it means to be accountable to yourself. While working in America, he says he came to realize the dignity of labor and what true equality means. Now I give equal respect to Mukesh Ambani and my driver, he is reported to have said. In the US, he got a great job in the chairman's office of DebtX company in Chicago, where he worked for 2 years, but Mr. Trivedi was always restless and uncomfortable about settling down in a comfort zone. Not quite enamored of a green card or an American citizenship, he came back to India, much to the surprise of his American boss. But he still remained a restless soul looking for ways to make his life meaningful. He once even wanted to become a monk, inspired by the riveting picture of Swami Vivekananda in an advertisement of Ramakrishna Mission, inviting the youth to join the order. But his family and his Swamiji in Chicago persuaded him not to become a sannyasi, and we are thankful for that. Once back in India, he got job offers from Tata Consultancy Services and Shaw Wallace, but let them go, once again, fearing that he may settle down into a comfortable life. However, those who have lived in Kolkata in the mid-70s, and I'm one of those unfortunate ones, they know that it was not an easy place to live. Fed up with corruption and stagnancy, he apparently had packed his bags thrice to go back to America. His father advised him to stay back and learn to fight. Once again, we are thankful for that. He worked with Lee and Muirhead, a logistics company, for a while, and then in 1984 started his own air freight company. A desire to plunge into the public life remained in him, and the activist in him started a consumer protection center from within his office. One of the cases he filed was against the Department of Telecom, arguing, how could the government charge full rental if phones were only working for part of the month? His big moment was a petition in the Supreme Court to make public the Vohra Committee report on the criminal politician nexus. The Supreme Court judgment mentioned the Right to Information Act and actually Lokpal bill and gave a big boost to the RTI movement. Mr. Trivedi, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and Anna Hazare go back a long way. This is why you would remember Mr. Trivedi even talked of resigning as a Minister of State for Health last year in support of Anna. Meanwhile, he joined the Congress and became very close to Rajiv Gandhi. However, believing that VP6 stood for greater probity in public life, he joined the Janata Dal in 1989. He was elected to Rajya Sabha in April 1990 and continued to be elected right up to 2008. In 1997, he joined Mamata Banerjee as the founder and the first General Secretary of the Trinamool Congress. In 2009, he won a Lok Sabha seat for the first time and became the Minister of State for Health. Last year, when he became the Railways Minister, he brought to his job an amazing vision and a much larger enthusiasm than his previous railway ministers. He wanted to double the railway lines, modernize safety systems, spruce up the railway stations to make them look like airport terminals with restaurants, shopping centers, multiplexes, bookstores, and the like. Large and modern railway terminals like these, he estimated, could employ thousands of people and contribute as much as 30% to the revenues of the railways. To provide the right focus, he even wanted to create a railway authority like the Airports Authority of India. He pointed out that Indian Railways had an unmatched optic fiber network which was completely unused, leading to enormous waste and potential loss of revenues. Indian Railways still use the signaling system set up by the British, which is completely outdated and causes a large number of deaths and crores of destruction every year. To address safety issues, he set up 2 committees headed by 2 of our best nuclear scientists, Dr. Anil Kakodkar and K. Kasturi Rangan. Unfortunately for us, Mr. Trivedi did not get a chance to implement even a small part of this amazing vision thanks to the tunnel vision of our politicians. We cannot think of too many politicians who are truly clear-headed and also have a deep empathy for the people as Mr. Trivedi has. He says he has no ego, which is why he doesn't understand why leaders are so susceptible to flattery when in fact they should be ruled by a value system. He once commented that all leaders should be aware not of their opponents but their chamchas. Because Indian politics and business has to change, he said, we have feudal values everywhere. Over the last 3 decades, Mr. Trivedi has been on a perpetual quest to contribute in genuinely meaningful ways to the Indian society. We hope that a man who has given up a comfortable life even in the difficult decades of 70s and 80s is drawn to the mystique of saints and Sufism, a connoisseur of art, a man who can fly planes, play the sitar, keep a cool and intelligent head in crisis, and put the country before self and party would be the engine of change that we desperately need today sometime very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Dinesh Trivedi, a politician with enormous difference.
First of all, let me say I am so much overwhelmed and I am honestly touched. I just did my job, which I felt any Indian would have done the same thing. But the kind of love, respect, and the kind of friendship, goodwill I have received from across the country and even people staying abroad, it's just overwhelming. And I am honestly so much touched that I realize this is India. The Parliament of India may not represent the real India, but this India is the real India. Somewhere down the line, I'm convinced about one thing, that people have changed for the better. They are all in touch with what is happening. Unfortunately, people who are not in touch with what is happening is my colleagues in the Parliament. Honestly, otherwise, I just can't think of how fast things are moving. And I've also learned one thing which I must share with you, never to use a phrase, bite the bullet. I used that phrase, instead of biting the bullet came and hit me. I am very happy to be here and I am very grateful to Sucheta ji and the whole team has really done wonderful work. I have not even really known her before. I have briefly met during some consumer movement, but much before that, the big bull as he was known, Harshad Mehta. So the credentials, and I'm sure this must have taken a great research, and that is what journalism, that is what research, that's what India is all about. I really do not know what is expected of me to speak out here, because as I was coming, I met quite a few people. Many of them are from the railways. Quite a few of them are from the passenger association for decades together. So obviously, they know much more about the railway system than I perhaps would ever know. But whatever little my experience I have, I will just share with you. I do not have a prepared text. Whenever I go to speak somewhere, I don't read my speech. The only time I have read my speech and I got fired. So I'm quite scared to read speeches and all, you know. But all said and done, I also must emphasize that I don't consider myself as if I've done some very big, huge sacrifice. I really, honestly, I'm not trying to be modest. I'm not at all, I never felt that is such a huge thing. I also don't feel that injustice has been done to me, somebody has not been fair to me. I have no complaints. I'm very happy the way I am. I'm absolutely delighted the way I presented the budget. And I can guarantee you, if Dr. Manmohan Singh, I know he's not going to do it because, okay, if he gives me an opportunity to present the railway budget tomorrow, I'll present exactly the same budget which I presented. Because I did it with conviction. And perhaps if I go back, and I was trying to find out, what did I do? I mean, where did I go wrong? Very widely placed near Kanpur. And the dead bodies and the people who were injured on that horrible accident, I still really feel the pain. You can only understand if you are a mother, if you are a wife, you are a husband, you are a father, when your own dear ones die, which is absolutely unexplainable. In the sense, this is modern India. How can this happen? And that pain was with me, and that moment, I decided I have to do something. If I did not do something, then I'm not worth the salt. So my budget preparation, if you ask me, started then, that very night. So first thing, I said, who are the people who can tell me what safety is all about? Then I thought about it, and I said the people who understand nuclear science, because that is where you have zero tolerance. And they understand safety very well. And who are the other people? Are the people who understand the rocket science. So I went to my dear friend, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, and he immediately phoned up. He offered me some idli and vadas and all on a Sunday morning, and he immediately called up Kakotkar. Dr. Kakotkar is one of the greatest nuclear scientists perhaps in the world. He is the one who had this negotiation of the Indo-US nuclear treaty. He said, look here, I am totally full. But for Indian Railways, for you, for Dr. Kasturi Rangan, I am available. So very quickly, both of them formed a team that who should be there. I did not interfere at all because I know nothing about it. The biggest thing, my knowledge, and I can be very proud of it, that I had the knowledge that I know nothing about it. Because people who get in there, right from day one, they feel, if you are in health ministry, they feel they are the best surgeons. If they are in the railways, they think that they know everything about it. So my qualification there was, and I realized that, let us leave it to the experts. So they were very kind, they agreed, and I was delighted. So we had a great 6 hours initial meeting. How to chalk out the thing, the entire board, the entire team was excited. The second thing I did, I realized that in order to address safety, you cannot address safety unless and until you modernize. And to modernize, you require resources. It is very simple. So I said, we need some experts. Mr. Cyrus Gazdar is sitting here. He understands economics. He understands commerce. So I said, we need some such people who understands how to do it. So one set of people will tell me about safety. The other set of people will tell me how to modernize that, how to implement that. So I got my good friend Sam Petroda. I got Deepak Parekh. One of the great person who was in the team was Mr. Sridharan. And Sridharan is the guru of everybody in the sense he understands safety. Delhi Metro, Konkan Railway, the most difficult terrain they have done it. I was absolutely thrilled that you just cannot go wrong with these kind of people. And I started getting into a mode of teamwork, consultation, meetings, and I tell you these people have spent hours and hours and hours together. They have gone to each and every place. They have spoken to the last man in the railways. It is not they were sitting in the air-conditioned room and gave the report. They just gave with entire background. Now, I get two reports which really rings alarm bells. They tell us that we are in a big, huge mess. And they gave us the prescription also. It's like a surgeon. You go to a surgeon. And surgeon, experts, there is a team, they tell you, okay, this is the ailment, this is the prescription, this is how you go about. Now what do you expect me to do? Throw that report out and please some region or some state or some individual? I could have pleased myself also. I could have said that, okay, all I do is only for my constituency, Barakpur. But I said, very honestly, this thought never came to me. I did whatever I had to do. And I sat down with the Planning Commission. Planning Commission had envisaged outlay for the next 5-year plan, 12th 5-year plan was $1 trillion US, which amounts to about 50 lakh crore. So I told Montec that all I'm asking you is give me 10% of it. 10% of, because half the money, that is 25 lakh crore, would have come from private sector, and other 25 lakh crore would have come from the government. That's how $1 trillion US was envisaged. So I said, you give me 10% of 25 lakhs crore. And that is how I planned everything. Because there are 4 sources. One is the budgetary support, which every country has. Second thing is your own generation of revenue. Third thing is public-private partnership. And fourth thing is the borrowing. These are the 4 very simple ways of generating your money for the railways. And the credibility of the railway was really going down. And when I mentioned about ICU, I really meant on the financial part of it. Because those who are with the railways and those who understand railways, it is one of the best organization in the world. It is next to the army. In the worst situation, these people work 24/7. And that is why one is very confident that give any task to the railways and they will implement. So I was in a win-win-win situation. And I said that let's start dictating the speech. And every word of that speech which I gave was dictated by me as far as the dictation is concerned, not the dictator of dictation. Least you misunderstand. So, who did I consult? The entire union, 14 lakhs. Everybody was consulted at all the stages. Entire board, which otherwise those who are in railways understand they are in a silos. Mechanical guy will not get along with electrical will not get along with staff. That is the situation. But I got everybody on board. Everybody sat together. Everybody understood what is required. We had worked out 4 options. Option number 1, 2, 3, 4. And we had very democratically sat down, and I said, you tell us which option you want. All of them put together said we want a particular option number 4. And option number 4 had fare and freight and this and that, how much to rise, what to do. Everybody was in one voice. I went to all the states. Maharashtra was also there. I had come just before the budget. I went to Nagaland, and they were surprised. They said that, and I went with all the board members. Wherever I went with the board members, the chairman and all the board members. The chief minister would sit, all the members of parliament from that state cutting across party line, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and we would have about 6 hours meeting and try to understand what are the problems of the state, what do they require. So when I went to Nagaland, was the first state. The chief minister was surprised. He said, we have only 8 kilometers of railway line. What are you going to do here? But they also got something what was waiting for such a long time, at least as far as the budget was concerned. And we really enjoyed. So all across the board, everybody, I consulted the editors of the newspapers, electronic media, reporters, general public or internet. I went personally and spoke to passengers and just got a feel of that. The bottom line was, give us a way to travel in a dignified way. If you see today, those people, the general class, Shatabdi, Rajdhani, they take care of. But if you see the general class, honestly, it's a human right violation. The way the general class people travel, it's just not done in a modern India. It just not is acceptable. 10 to 12 people die every day. I just met one person who got his legs amputated because of the tracks on Mumbai Rail. How do you accept this? In modern India, is it acceptable? That is the question I was asking. My answer was very clear cut, and you also would absolutely agree. It is not acceptable. So what you do? You address that situation. There is not a single problem in this modern India which cannot be sorted out. Our kids are into America, Harvard, MIT, Dubai, Japan, Germany. They are building different countries, believe me. My own son is working on a mission to Mars. And he's, co-chairing a team of 35 different people at Purdue University. Mission to Mars. These youngsters are doing it. And American government would buy that model, almost free, and they will have this. These kids can do everything possible for India as well. But something is not correct. So I was wondering as I started that where did I go wrong? Not that I was worried about it or bothered about it. And I'm very proud of it, let me tell you. Perhaps one of the reasons is my budget was not myopic. My budget was not for a region, not for a state, not for an individual. I can honestly tell you, my budget was for India. That is what my budget was. Otherwise, in the recent past, we have seen, and I'm not trying to apportion blame anywhere, but that is the way the politics have started. It started with, Ganikan Chaudhary. We have become too regional oriented. But when I sit there as a minister of Indian Railways, I have got to do my duty. That's it. And I always tried my best to do that. I must give you one very good news, and perhaps not a very good news. There are two things. When I came here, met the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, we worked on a lot of things. Modernization of Dadar station. I can guarantee you in about 2-3 3 years, we would have transformed the whole thing. The Harbour Line, the Western Line, all these lines, we were talking about integration. We were talking about a system which will not terminate. It will go in circular way. And there are experts who had given me the great ideas, and all the GMs and everybody had sat down, which is doable, which would have cut down not only on time but also on cost, on speed, and it would have meant addition of more coaches which Mumbai requires. In this budget perhaps, and I did not do it by any design, Mumbai got the most of it. But the bad news is, it's going to be rolled back. It's a rock and roll. I tried to rock and they tried to roll. So somewhere it was rock and roll we were performing. And perhaps this is not the best way of performance of rock and roll. I don't give up hope. I personally feel somewhere down the line, politics has taken better of people. And when they again talk about a sacrifice and all, it all started with Barkha Dutt, the very day I presented the budget. What happens that it's customary that you go to the media, actually media comes to your office and they set up small studios of their own and you hop from one to another. So instead of talking about budget, and they're supposed to be talking about the budget, this plan, that plan, this whole thing turned into politics. That your job is in some kind of a jeopardy, you're going to lose your chair. And I just did not understand why are they emphasizing so much on losing a chair. After all, it's not my paternal property. This concept of custodian or trusteeship is somewhere down the line missing. And that is what perhaps gives you a false impression that you are the owner of it. And somebody is trying to snatch your ownership from your ministry. So I was very neutral. I said, what are you talking about losing a chair? I said, there are a lot of people unsung, unheard, who die every day on our borders. You go to Siachen, we will not be able to stand for 2 hours. And then I gave the example of Bhagat Singh. I was not comparing myself. There is no comparison at all. I said, when people like Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Khudiram Bose, and for freedom struggle, वो लोग हंसते हंसते फांसी पे चढ़ गए. And if I have done something which I thought was good for the country, and that is the only way to do, what is a job? I mean, it's just, first of all, I was not doing to protect any chair of mine because it doesn't belong to me, that also belongs to the country. That is how it all started. And I very strongly feel that the time has come where we have got to, last few days I've been reading, and there are a lot of good quotes from here. I thought if I had time, I would just go through them. The whole concept of democracy, and the people who gave us this constitution. We just celebrated Dr. Bhimsen Ambedkar's birth centenary a couple of days back. I mean, they are great people. If you compare today's people in parliament or in politics, we are like dwarf. And we had such great names. The difference was that those people came with some kind of professional background, some kind of life of their own. Like in any modern democracy. If you talk about America, they all come with a lot of experience behind them, lot of learning behind them, lot of wisdom, proper training, university degrees. Of course, India is a poor country, maybe everybody doesn't get the opportunity. But there has to be some sense. Politics cannot be a career. Politics cannot be a business. But I think of late, what I see is it is becoming like that. And how can, I just fail to understand. You know, we take oath. In 5 minutes, I will wrap up so that we have more time for interaction. We take oath that we are going to discharge our duty without fear or favor. I have also brought the exact wording of what we take oath on. And this is where I just didn't understand. And there is also an oath which we take, oath of secrecy, that whatever is brought to me, what is before me, I'm not going to share with anybody, unless it is required for discharging my duty. These are the two solemn oaths we take. Why do we take this oath? Why there is so much of funfair about it? Why Rashtrapati Bhavan? Why Ashoka Hall? Why telecast? Why do we do all this thing? If we do not have any value for those oaths, why do we have it? And I must tell you that somewhere down the line, some of us have not adhered to the oath. Because the oath is very, very clear that without fear or favor, I have utmost respect for the Prime Minister of India, and I mean it. He is a great person, he is a gentleman. But somewhere down the line, I had a choice. And the choice before me was to protect my chair and remain the Rail Mantri, or to do the duty which I am supposed to do, which I have also mentioned in my budget speech, that whether I let the railway go through the status quo or I go through a generational change. And I said in my budget speech that I have decided to go for a generation change. I did not, at that point in time, even think about what will happen. If I would have thought all those things, I don't know, there wouldn't have been any budget, I can tell you that. There would not have been any budget. Prime Minister of India, every minister takes the budget. I'm very grateful that he praised my budget. He also regretted that my colleague Dinesh Trivedi is leaving. So he approved. Obviously, the entire cabinet approved. It's a collective responsibility. And then, I think Indian Express had the great banner headline that Prime Minister with regret hands over Trivedi's head to Mamata Banerjee. So somewhere down the line, you had the fear. There are two important words, fear and favor. You had the fear of losing the government. Yeah, my leader was coming to Delhi to perhaps withdraw the support. I was very clear that I have been put on there by the party and party tells me to go, I go, as simple as that. We had a very clear understanding between me and Mamata Banerjee that I said, anytime you want me to go, just give me a call, it will take me 10 seconds. And believe me, it took 10 seconds because I think I was the first minister in the modern days to send my resignation over email from my phone itself. So I stood by that, but somewhere down the line, some kind of dharam sankat, I don't know if I may call it that, there should not have been. Between losing the government, that is the fear. So you have not overcome that fear. And what is, the other word is favor. So obviously you have favored a party. So both counts. And I'm surprised it took Raja. I'm sure everybody has heard of his name, Raja. It took Supreme Court to sack him for doing all the wrong things. Things which are against the interest of a nation. And it took 5 seconds to sack me for doing all things which I suppose were in the interest of the nation. And as far as me as the individual is concerned, I'm enjoying my life. I'm getting more time to read, listen to the music. I love to play golf. I just went to Ooty the other day, had a great round of golf. So as an individual, I'm absolutely in bliss. But is this what we want as a country? That is a bigger question. Whatever we have to do, I personally believe we have to do it in a positive way, without apportioning blame here or there. Maybe कि हम कहीं भटक गए. And I very strongly recommend everybody. There are 5 volumes of this Constituent Assembly debate, and they are amazing. But when I read this debate, and I see today, I feel nothing has changed. We have gone back to the days of perhaps worse than the British Raj. What used to happen during British Raj? The loyalty of the bureaucracy and the police was with the Raj, not with the Janta. Today is the same thing. Doesn't matter which state you are in. Doesn't matter what is the color of the political party. Aren't we all scared to go to a police station to register a genuine complaint? Doesn't matter where we are. Why should that be? Why should bureaucracy have loyalty to the government of the day? Why should police behave the way as if people mean nothing to them? That is the thing. When I went to Vohra Committee, I will repeat some of the things. We'll get a chance when we interact. Your blood will boil. Vohra Committee report says that the country has been taken over by mafia. They are running a parallel government. And the official machinery has been pushed to irrelevance. After all these kind of things, how do we keep quiet? I'm not trying to say that we go down, we, get into a violence mode. No, that is not our mindset. Our mindset is Gandhian. Peaceful, proper, and effective. And I have learned in my life, which is the sharpest weapon? Softness is the sharpest weapon. Gentleness is the sharpest weapon. It is not harshness. It is not through violence. It is not negativity. I think these kind of things we should take it as something which is very positive. I must honestly tell you, I never thought that I'll get so much of response. Today, as a rail mantri, perhaps nobody knew me. But after giving up the railways, I'm somewhat known everywhere. Even people come and take my autograph, they want to have picture, and who are these people? I'll give you an example. The other day I went to have pizzas in Calcutta. I used to go there, it's a small pizza joint called Fire and Ice. There's a lot of fire in Bengal these days in any case. So, all those waiters, for the first time they came and individually they wanted photograph with me after I gave up the railway mantri. As long as I was railway mantri, they were very polite with me. But after I gave up, they were very much proud of me. There are 3 things I hear across the country. And it's so surprising. The message is the same. Everywhere, first of all, people say, we salute you. This is a common word. Everywhere. Second thing, they say, we are with you. And the third thing, they say, you carried yourself with a lot of dignity. These are the 3 messages I have got. But I can tell you, this is a great country. As far as, and which I said in the budget speech also, that like we cannot have any kind of concept of India without Ganga. Can we think about India without Himalayas? Can we think about India without Indian Railways? We can't. Lastly, where I get pained is we can do it, and not very difficult job. You look at our borders, and which I said in my speech as well, that all our neighbors, all means one big neighbor, they're all the way up to the border, all the way. We have nothing. So tomorrow if we have to move our troops or our machinery, how do we do it? No roads, no rails, what do we do? It is our prime duty. How long we are going to play politics with our ministries? And how can this happen? I don't understand. I really don't understand. How can it happen in democracy? You have presented a budget, you are sacked, everybody appreciated your budget, every member of parliament, because every member of parliament got something or the other. I said, you give me 10 requests, I can't meet 10. I will try and meet at least 3 or 4. So each and every member of parliament, each and every state, everybody got. But when you listen to the debate on the railway budget, they talk about everything but the budget proposals. Nothing they talk about the proposal. Whether a member traffic or a member safety is required or not, there is no debate on that, which was my budget proposal. A member PPP required or not, no debate on that. There was no debate on anything. And again, in Parliament also, we keep on telling in conclusion 5 times. So this is the 5th time I am telling in conclusion that if fare was really the only problem, then I think freight was a bigger problem. Because freight affects the guy who doesn't even travel. His haldi, his pyaz, his matches, everything goes up, his electricity. I had to increase the freight 15 days before the budget. Because if I did not do that, I would not have been able to balance the budget. I took 3,000 crores from the finance ministry to balance my budget. And the impact was minimal, from 5 rupees to 35 rupees for 500 kilometers. So somewhere down the line, I think politics has taken better of the railways, but as I said, that this is a great country. Otherwise, all of you wouldn't be here. And I was told there is an IPL match also. You have sacrificed this match and to be here. So I'm certain you understand where your priorities are. I know where my priorities are. And I have no doubt this country is going through a little bit of turmoil now. But at the end of the day, I'm sure the brighter days are definitely ahead of us. Thank you. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.